That was wonderful. Vince. After Vince's funeral, I received a card from his brother Randy thanking me for my sympathy and support. In the card he wrote, "Vince valued your friendship and took great pleasure in relating some of your adventures. Knowing Vince, they were embellished and became greater than life, and that's what we do when we remember good times." Oh, if Randy only knew. Those stories are probably not too exaggerated. We had some wild and often dangerous adventures. Vince and I met in 3rd grade. I immediately felt a bond with him. My uncle had recently passed, and I was having great difficulty understanding death. Vince's mother had recently died. We had many aspects of our life that drew us into a bond that lasted until his passing. We had fathers who were 53 when we were born. We were both shy, bullied, unassertive, and very curious about everything. We were outcasts in our class. That year, President Kennedy was assassinated, and the Beatles hit the music charts. The world was changing, and our young minds wanted the ride. We were both good kids, but the combination of us together always spelled trouble. This continued throughout our lives. After 3rd grade, my parents pulled me out of Catholic school, and I attended the local public school. 2 years later, Vince showed up at the same school. We were back together, and the adventure and troubles unfolded. We were smoking, hanging out in the park, and looking for mischief in town. Then his parents moved and enrolled him in a boarding school in Florida. He would return to Ohio for a few weeks every summer. We continued our adventures. I remember one evening, we tried to sneak in the back door. My father caught us carrying a large bag. He opened it to find it full of cigarettes and Playboy magazines. Then he pulled out an ashtray with SEX printed on it. He looked at it and exclaimed, "Sex!" Then he looked at us. Without missing a beat, Vince answered, "Yeah!" We were in trouble again. Years went by and he would return every summer, and in 9th grade he came to live for a short time in Berea. Then he was gone again. I didn't see him again until early 20s. Being older, we upped our game into getting into trouble, much of it illegal and not mentionable. We would often play unexpected jokes that would take the other by surprise. We also, because of our curious minds, had many long discussions about society, politics, history, and the ridiculousness of things people believe. We were both expressing ourselves in poetry, mine abstract, his deep-cutting humor. Many nights were spent drinking Irish whiskey and indulging in illegal substances as we talked and laughed. I think we saw ourselves aware of living in this Vonnegut-like science fiction existence with a Hunter Thompson lifestyle. When he would see the absolute ridiculousness of celebrities, politicians, or the self-righteous fools who proudly exclaim their idiotic ways, he would shout out, "Hee-yah!" We would laugh. A few years would go by, sometimes before we got together again. Like long-lost cousins, we would be laughing and having deep discussions. My life took a different route. I stepped back from substance abuse, met Ellen, and eventually started a family. My life had me thinking liberally. He leaned conservative. We always met on mutual ground, and he would often apologize if he thought he insulted my social or political views. We balanced each other. He was very intelligent and could recite historical information, his favorite being Celtic history. Having never married, he had no one to bounce ideas off and kept on and increased his alcohol consumption. I believe he committed a slow suicide after many years of hard drinking and his liver failed. He was 52 when he passed. He was not religious and thought most religions as nonsense or a way to keep the masses in line. Religion was always a good topic, and we both struggled to understand how people's minds can get so entrenched in dogma and consumed by what they believe is the ultimate answer. In conversations, we would look at each other and yell out, "Yeah!" When he died, I had not seen him for about 2 years. His funeral was an elaborate Orthodox Mass with cantors singing, incense wafting, Christian words of life ever after. Knowing Vince and his thinking, I was very puzzled with what I was witnessing. I figured someone else thought this was what he wanted. Then it struck me, perhaps he did this for me. I could see him asking for a big, elaborate celebration. Why not? Only Ken would get the joke. I never mentioned this to his family. I did find myself laughing and disguising it as crying, and then, of course, I did weep. We have been through a lot. Perhaps this was an appropriate celebration. I will probably never know if he converted back to Christianity in his dying months, and it doesn't matter. We are all more complicated and deeper than those around us realize. In my quiet, reflective solitude, I heard his voice scream out over the signs of the cantors echoing off the walls. Yeah! The invisible threads that bind the human spirit one to another are woven by the hands of a godlike entity. When I reflect on the ridiculous ways history is unfolding now, I can envision the threads of Vince's mind weaving back through me, see his animated face, and yell loudly inside my mind, yeah! Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Ken. My dad was a pro at packing a car. Whether it was a family trip or moving my brother and I in and out of college dorms or in and out of apartments after college, my dad could expertly fit a sizable load into the family minivan or into our smaller sedans with an intricate game of Tetris. I can just see him standing in the driveway with his hands on his hips, his brow furrowed, a focused and determined expression on his face, his tongue over his lower lip, staring at an open trunk, strategizing what to load in first, what should go where, what items could fit into the nooks and crannies. He would look at the load to be packed, and he would ask me to hand him specific items or specific boxes, one by one in order, finding the perfect place for each thing. And like magic, there was always somehow enough room for everything. When my spouse, Justin, and I were moving from Wisconsin to Ohio this past summer, our own packing skills were put to the test. Justin had to leave a day before in order to get here in time to meet the movers. And so I stayed behind, and it was my job to tie up loose ends, to make sure the apartment was clean, and to bring with me anything that we had not put on the moving truck. And as I brought these last boxes and bags and items out to my car to load them up and to hit the road, I looked at all this stuff and I thought to myself, oh crap. We had underestimated how much stuff was still left behind, and I had no idea how I was going to fit it all in my little sedan. And then here I was needing to get on the road for this 9-hour drive with no time to figure out another plan. As I opened the trunk and started to exercise my spatial reasoning to figure out a strategy, I noticed I was playing that same game of Tetris that my dad had done for all of those trips and all of those moves. I was worried that the stuff wouldn't all fit, but then suddenly a voice in my head was giving me a pep talk saying, "Allie, you got this. You are the daughter of Thomas Tucker Peters, expert car packer. You were made for this." I started loading a box here, a bag there. I could hear my dad reminding me, use the soft stuff like blankets and pillows to fill in the nooks and crannies, to pad stuff into place. Make the most of the floor space in front of the back seat. Stack things, but be sure to leave room to see out the back windshield. Ultimately, thankfully, it all fit. My car was packed to the gills, but it all fit. And I was reminded that my dad is a part of me. With me even beyond his life here on earth. And as I proudly surveyed my stuffed car, my dad's presence in me felt like a superpower. Like I was truly tapped into a legacy. My dad's legacy, and the legacy of all those who had formed him and shaped him to be who he was. It's not just packing cars. When I'm able to be mindful of it, I can feel my dad in me in so many areas of life. One big one being here with you all at Southwest. My dad was a minister of a small church about this size for 30 years. He is present in me in every moment of my ministry here with you. And so I wonder, who is it that you can feel present in you? Who in your life has passed on but remains a part of you because of the ways they've shaped you? Or perhaps because of what they taught you? Or because of how they loved you into being who you are today? For you, it might not be a parent or a family member that comes to mind. Our connections to family who have passed can be cool and meaningful, and also perhaps complicated and hard and even painful. But maybe for you it's a friend, like Ken shared with us. Maybe for you it's a romantic partner, or a teacher. Maybe for you it's someone from this congregation. Maybe for you it's someone in history who influenced the world in ways that made room for your fullness of being. Maybe for you it's a spiritual ancestor who has been helpful on your own spiritual journey. The cloud of ancestors that moves within us is deep and it is wide. Remember them. Notice them. Draw strength and comfort from them. Be in conversation with them. What would they want for you in this season of your life? What supportive words can you hear them whispering in your ear? How have they helped prepare you to meet whatever is to come? May we notice. May we listen. May we remember. May we draw upon their presence in us in meaningful ways. May that be so. And amen.